Hello. I've decided to do another video today. I've been shot down in flames, like that song by AC/DC. Shot down in flames, shot down in flames. Ain't it a shame to be shot down in flames? My rig burned up, running a propane heater in there. So now I'm in this motorhome. It's really nice. But at any rate, this is a video. I should have blown up when I ripped the propane tank out, broke the cord which was on, and didn't blow up, and here I am. So if it's not your time, it's not your time, I guess. So anyway, this is called this. I'm going to title this in the title section when I type it in. Can you hear the sound of one hand slapping? Shut up and show me God. That's all. So this way we discern from all the teachings which teachings have the ability to bring a living awareness of the living God, Om, to a human being. And this is specifically for human beings. And meditation is how it's done in the angelic realm. Well, I got into that in another video, the metaphysical properties of meditation. But this is the new headstand rack I built in my RV. And I was going to bring this up because this one I bought, it has handles, okay? And that helps when you pull yourself up. It helps to grab these handles and pull yourself up when you got to adjust the straps if it's making your leg numb. And this is how I tied it down. Instead of ropes, I used these tie downs that you could crank, because they get loose and then you just crank it a couple times and it tightens up. Okay, and it won't rock back and forth. They're tied in with the armrest of the seat. Okay, and then I was going to bring up that this wood that I built it with is wider, so you don't have this wobbling back and forth as much. It has more of a better base. And anyway, these are the knots. I tied a couple knots, to make it the right height, okay, until it's the right level. I tied a couple knots. It's a little too high, but I could always add pillows. I tied that extra knot. I'm not going to undo it because then it goes too low. So right there, and then these are the pillows I put under me. Right here, you see, that's the purple cushion. And then I put it on some other ones. Usually I use all purples, but they burned up in the fire. Everything burned up except me. At any rate, that right there, what you're looking at, is exactly what you will see. Exactly what you're going to see in today, or I don't think he passed yet, in Swami Sivananda's retirement ashram in India. He came here, I think, in the 50s, teaching America, bringing yoga to America, like who else? Vivekananda and Yogananda. He was one of them that brought yoga to America, Swami Sivananda. Now, if you think what I'm showing you isn't real, you find it in his retirement ashram. These are the couple of his students. Swami Sivananda's student was that 6-foot yogi or 6 something that got into he put himself into a cube, like an aquarium type cube, and they threw him underwater for like an hour, or I don't know how many hours. They threw him underwater and he was all knotted up inside of that cube for that time, and then they brought him out and he was, he just untied himself and went on. But that's one of his students and or disciples. And Swami Radha, he wrote the complete illustrated book of yoga. I thought Richard Hittleman's were better for practically learning the yoga postures and asanas because they were in such great detail, and they always had the benefits of each exercise or posture. And but the complete illustrated book of yoga is far more advanced as far as talking about Om. And again, you see this headstand prop, or Christ's was a cross, Buddha's was a tree branch, a sideways tree branch, Moses's was the Ankh. So this is the highest teaching I ever challenged anybody to try and contend with any other teaching that's higher. And Swami Radha was a female student of his, and she wrote Kundalini Yoga for the West, a real good book where they actually show at the beginning of each chakra the if you look at it, it looks very much like the cymatics, the sound creating the image or the form. When you place the iron or plate, and you do different sounds, wave sounds, different notes underneath the plate, it takes the sand on the plate takes a form, or the iron on the plate. Well, it's the same. Those chakras, you have to say that we were definitely cymatics was involved in. The Elohim used it when they created us. The Elohim, that's the us. Let us create man in our image. And so those are a couple of his students, and if you read those books, you'll find that they're highly advanced, and those are his students. So what I'm showing you, it gives it, he brings credibility, he brings credibility, the reality of what I'm showing you, and he's far better in the words, but he doesn't tell you plainly the way I am. That's what produces the experience of Om. That exercise, that one who practices the headstand 3 hours a day will surely attain enlightenment. That's an ancient teaching. It goes back to Egypt, thousands of years, but everybody takes it. They start fighting with it. Don't teach them. There are enemies. Yet God is loving everybody equally, not judging. He has principles. So we've judged ourselves by going against those principles. Like the yin-yang symbol on the I Ching has those lines around it. Well, we cross those lines, so we are judging ourselves. When we cross some lines, we have to, it's going to bounce back at us, our own the chi leaving the center of gravity. It might have performed an abomination or something. It comes back to our bosom. So we have to cleanse that out, which meditation is a cleansing. Sometimes I feel like, why do I want to move from this meditation post? Because I want to go sin. Or not necessarily abominations, but venial type of distractions. Or meaningless. How that song says, fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way. It's like an avoidance of God. Okay, so meditation, we have the divine white living light, the Holy Spirit, or Atman, radiating upon all men, everybody, least to the greatest. Okay, now not judging, loving. See, that's one kind of a Judeo-Christian perspective on God, that God is cruel. No, that is our own law of gravity, our personal law of gravity, from the center of gravity where the Buddhists put their hands of the human being. Our own chi, we're doing whatever, it's returning to us. It's really not the law of karma. It's really the law of gravity. Our own center of gravity, an inch below the navel, returning to us. You have to go into different forms of reality. Like, you could see it in our body of light will move according to our mind moving. It moves the entire body of light wherever. Okay, and then so you bring that into stillness, and that body dies or falls off. Okay, and then you operate in the Spirit of God moves you. Your spirit is not in strife at that. It's much lessened. Ultimately, an Om being, I have no shape or form, as a disembodied spirit, I'm dead and yet I'm born. They are completely have let go of all strife. They have no form anymore. Like Christ, that's what Christ is. Where he is right now, this second. I have no shape or form. As a disembodied spirit, I am dead, I am born. He's in a cloud of unknowing, like I showed you in that other video. You guys have a perception of Christ as a 33-year-old Jewish hippie. And mine was when I showed him standing outside that cloud. And my Christ is the formless in Om. He has no shape or form. As a disembodied spirit, I am dead and yet I'm born. Pick up your cross and follow me. The cross as a headstand prop is the ancient teaching. The Greco-Romans did not give that to you. They took that power from Christ and putting power back into his name. You'll realize Christ is a very powerful, very, very powerful, an unfathomable power in Om. That's where they are. They still know their name. You still hear. It's the hearing, not the hearer, and not the heard. It's the perception. The perceiving is still an Om, but not the perceiver, and not the perceived. Just the perceiving. That awareness is formless, and it's far. Of course, it's not vexed. It's not restricted to the parameters of perception of 5, 6 senses. Now, Om is beyond the divine white living light. So when they say God is light, and in him is no darkness at all, that's an elementary level. It's not the highest understanding. There's a higher level, and that is a God who said, "Let there be light." So you just breach everything. Like, where did this come from? Then what's this? Keep questioning, like the kid that says, "Why?" And then you tell them, and then they say, "But why?" And then the kid keeps asking why. We keep breaching until you reach Om, before. Om is before and beyond. That's why people, like highly intelligent people, can't really communicate on that level, because Om is, I hit him with that BB gun. Before, beyond. Before anything was, Om is. And the Spirit of God moved and said, "Let there be light." Okay, before the Spirit of God moved, Om, formlessness. Okay, formless reality of Om. Okay, so you could call it anything. You could say the voice of many waters. I heard as a word a noise of thunder sang, or YHWH. You can't say it, because if you say it, you're imparting human form to the formless, speech being the part of the human form. And so all words are emanated and returned to Om, begin and end, the Alpha and the Omega. These are just words, but I call myself a man of one word, Om, because knowing that one word surpasses a 20,000 word vocabulary, etc., etc., where that word came from and where it goes, the beginning and the end state. So at any rate, since the human race has devolved or insists on being childish and silly, playing hide and seek from God, which is insane, because it's psychotic. The human race, I've gone over it, the collective consciousness of mankind has gone into a mass psychosis, and the ancients were not stupid people. You could say that when you destroy all the history and everything. Okay, so whatever you say, and now you rewrite. Those who win the wars write the history books, isn't that so? But it was done with violence, which Christ said the kingdom of heaven suffers violence. From the days of Noah, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. People should never keep this teaching from anyone. God's love is trying to transmit through this to help people grow, like sunlight makes a flower grow. That's all it does. God is not a judgmental God. He just has his properties. Okay, there's properties to Om relative to us that are either conducive to reaching Om, or they're not, or they're further away. Like the prodigal son, we're the ones that went further away, and this is our journey that we're on. We took a long journey, and then this is the part of returning. That is going to Om, going back, not going back home, going back Om, where everything came from. Even the universe is just a small little thing relative to Om. But so we're going to play, instead of hide and seek from God or Om, and instead of what's that other game you play? Hide and seek, and I forgot the other one. There was another one. Hide and seek from God, like Adam and Eve. The humans are still doing that. Well, where did God go? Spirit of God moved. He said, "Let there be light." Okay, there's light, there's creation. Where did God go after this? Still right there, right here, right now, here, there, and everywhere. It's layered. There's layers of reality or worlds, or which are really body worlds or body realities. Here's a big word for you: a spectrophotometer. That's like when the light goes into the pyramid and reflects out rainbows. We're kind of like that, in that type of way. There's a guy on YouTube that put a pyramid on the head and examined how all the different chambers in the pyramid corresponded to different parts of our brain. He did it with the testicles too, but at any rate, you could definitely see the pyramid in the Elohim's design of us, because we have that spiraling, call it Kundalini, or it's produced inside the pyramid, inside the Great Pyramid. They've discovered that if you go straight down from the capstone, they found a spiraling energy, and it's like 3 times as great, 1/3 of the way up the pyramid, in the center of the pyramid. It produces 3 times more of a energy there in that spot. That could be called like our center of gravity of us, an inch below the belly button. Okay, so at any rate, seeing the human race reduced to this childish and silly level their whole life is really sad, because they're really all everybody's beating everybody down, beating everybody up, and not letting my people grow. Put a staff in my hand, I'll imitate Moses. Not let my people go, let my people grow. Okay, and so they've learned to equate intelligence with speech primarily. So I forgot that other game they play, show and tell. Oh, make believe. Yeah, they've reduced Christianity. That's why, I mean, the Greco-Roman version, it goes so far, but it's not authentic as to what Christ was really teaching. Where are the sons of thunder in contemporary Christianity? Where are is the day of Pentecost in the day of contemporary Christianity. But Christ taught so perfectly. That cloud of glory that he spoke of is seeing him in his glorified as an Om being in God. But is there more? Being discerning, is there more to Om than the Om being? Anything you compare with Om is infinitely greater. That includes Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Buddha, and the Lord Krishna. Whatever is compared with Om, whatever can be spoken, or that's just our little infinitesimally small piece of which is ultimately Om. Everything, Om is a constituent part. What everything is rooted in, what you arrive at. Okay? But you say, well, how do you arrive at it? You're thinking objectively, like the rainbow coming out of the pyramid. That's what a spectral photometer is. And the rainbow goes out, okay? The humans have shifted their awareness out to the outer surface of the rainbow, objective reality, and they call that objective reality, and they don't realize the lens they're looking through, the physical body, is imparting physicality and all the dimensions, the measurements, Maya illusion measurement of human experience. Okay, so with meditation, that's why we look inside, and the path, it has to be eternal because we're immersed in Om. We have to bring this sensory apparatus into tune or matching frequencies in sync with Om. And so I showed you how it's done. As a matter of fact, I'm in a real good mood. Even though I had a fire and everything, this is I was going to share this experience with you because I think it's important as time goes on and people work with this. These are specifically, where I'm at with this. I was upside down. I was doing 3 hours meditation one day, 3 hours headstand the next day. I couldn't do 3 plus 3 in one day. I was working up to that level. Then I had the fire, threw everything out of whack for about 3 weeks. And then I got this motor home. And then I went back. I still had to drive around, get my new license. My wallet burned up and everything. So anyway, I went back and I started again. But I did 3 hours every day for 3 weeks in the headstand, upside down in the harness, and I started to open the crown chakra. But of course, I'm just saying, before that I was doing maybe a month or two. I was going every other day, maybe about a month. Yeah, because I stopped work. It's January, middle of January. Yeah, I was at about a month every other day. Okay. So I was still doing the headstands every other day, and meditation the other day would be the next day. And I was working up. You have to arrange your life in such and such that fritter and waste the hours in an offhand way. Man, that's real. So you got to get rid of that part of your life, fritter and wasting the hours in an offhand way, and just get focused like a horse with the blinders on. Get focused on producing, awakening the soul up here in the 7th chakra. So I might as well compare myself with a horse, since women always do compare me with a horse. Of course, I'm too funny. That's my problem. At any rate, I started to open it. I would have went all the way and opened it. I was very happy. At the 3rd week, almost exactly to the day, I think it was a day shorter, I was doing a routine practice session, and I came up to take a break after an hour. I do it for an hour and then take a break for about, have a cigarette and go back. Okay. And it started opening up. And I got up and I was staggering all over this place. I was staggering all over, like I had I drunk a bottle of whiskey, and I was drunk on. I was staggering over there. I was losing my sense of balance and my senses, and I knew that was the Om activating, going beyond the 5 or 6 senses. You know, it goes beyond. The senses are gonna give way, yield their way to Om. But you could say our perception is going to go from the perceiver and the perceived to just the perceiving, which is in Om. It's like the center path of the yin yang symbol in the middle. You could say it's that's a triangle. The three. Reality is triangulated. It's observation or perceiver or experiencer or the perceiving, the verb, okay, and then the perceived, the appearance, or what we call reality, which is really an emanation of ourselves. Like I showed you, like a spectral photometer. That's reality is kind of like that. It is like that very much. It's a body world. It's a body of light. It's a world of light. Same physical matter, earth, body of light, and we have a ball of light. The whole earth is made of light. But ultimately, up here, experiencing it from this perspective, from the soul, formless soul, Om. Okay, that's different because it's formless. There's no configuration being projected, okay, as reality, be it heaven or hell, same principle. Okay, now Om, it's formless, and this is all going to be formless. The world, the earth, me. When you don't have any shape or form, nothing has shape or form. It's a primordial state. In the beginning, before the Spirit of God moved, in the beginning. Okay, what is? Like I always say, before your religion was, Om is, and Om is God. Okay, and that's where you'll find Christ right now, right here, right now, this second. So anyway, I bailed. It feels like going into Om, going into this state of consciousness, kind of feels like your King Kong is holding you in one hand, like that woman, you know. It feels like that. So it's scary, but I wasn't really so much scared. A little some, but I had a brain injury that they discovered when I was 58. Now, do I believe the doctors? Maybe not. I look at this X-ray. Yeah, you believe that? Yeah, good. Let open up that insurance account and let us at it. You know. So I don't necessarily believe them, but I kind of, yeah. I'm working with it. I had to work with that. So I took a break because of that. It might, I might have to recover from going into Om, and I'm getting ready to go to work, back to work. So that's why I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to follow through. But that is really good news to me to be able to produce it. I know that I was going to go into Om. If I would have continued those other 2 hours and not stopped after that hour, after I was all disorientated, I would have went into Om. So I stopped, and I'm thinking maybe that was the wrong thing to do. I should have kept going, despite the brain injury and having to go back to work. I saw a rig. There's a rig at a truck stop right on the top of his hood, just had the Om symbol. Like I should have kept going. But anyway, that's not bad. From 14 years to get my first experience, okay, and just working on kind of like faith, feeling my way about, books, not any real teacher that was teaching this directly to me, and from 14 years. Now I got to do it in 3 weeks with the month in front. Every other day was warming up to that. Okay, so I'm really glad. That means if there's no big war and I'm alive, that I'll be able to go into Ohm in a more convenient way where I'll be separated out of my land, which this could be a living will. My land is devoted to just this teaching, just this ancient teaching. And they're offering me big money for it, but I didn't sell it. Yeah. But I might, if they still do. But I don't know. But I would still change it and get other land and devote it strictly to this teaching. So there are 200 million, 20 million of those sold on Amazon. So I believe people are practicing this, but they're keeping it from others. They're fighting with it. They're not working the divine white living light that's love towards all. They're getting in the way of that divine white living light going to anybody. Like, this is for anybody in a world village somewhere across the world. A kid comes, he watches this video, he listens to me, he says, yeah, that's right, that makes sense to me, or he just practices it for fun. If anything, it's the healthiest exercise. 3 minutes a day prevents a heart attack. It's never been documented that anybody doing this 3 minutes a day has had a heart attack. And I went over that in another video. But if you redline it's yoga exercises and work on our intrinsic bodies. But the headstand in particular, called the king in yoga of yoga asanas, I call it the king of all yoga, and say that all other yoga is only to serve the king, the headstand, asana. And because it's the only exercise that deals with the soul, awakening the soul directly, and going into formlessness. All these other ones, you're still in form, the human form. So, at any rate, I wanted to share that experience with you and say that, yeah, I wasn't sure where I was. After 14 years, I wasn't sure where I was, my energy. Was it stuck? Was I stuck somewhere else? Oh, and I wanted to bring up that I was just having routine practice sessions, no experience. But then I did some exercises, particularly I did some, at the health club I practiced some Tai Chi exercises and went through a routine yoga, Hatha yoga workout. And I think I'm looking at this particular Tai Chi exercise that I think really helps the spiraling of our nadis and along the Sushumna, they call it, our main wire harness, the spine. This helps that the base core, the symbol of the American Association with the wings at the top I showed you. Okay, this particular exercise, I'll show it to you. I think I can do it. Is just standing. Okay, you drop down, hips in. Hips in is vital. And your knees are parallel with your toe. Your back is straight. Head. And you just kidney, colon. Kidney, colon. Kidney, colon. Okay, and I did that 48 times. I do it 48 times. And you could see how that's working, the spiraling, Ida Pingala currents in our subtle body, our astral body, and then it has its effects. I'm not sure how it affects the ethereal body, but these are all stages you go through. The astral body, world. That is our body of light, our world of light, physical body, physical world. And then it's like the lens we're looking through is physical, everything's physical. The lens we're looking through is light, it's all light. The lens we're looking at is etheric, everything's etheric. And then so Om is the big one, where you go beyond the human form. Just what was and you arrive at what was in the beginning. Okay. So, okay, this is called Shut Up and Show Me God, so... Oh, I like to indulge in repulsive, belligerent arrogance. It's fun. Fun and good times with understanding. This is not about knowledge, any specialized knowledge. It's not about wisdom, and this is not about understanding. This is specifically focused on thunderstanding, which is beyond human understanding. Okay, but it was what was in the beginning, before humans were. Om is. Okay, anything. It applies to anything. Okay, so I was going to bring up, I took down some notes and I had enough, just things that come along, you know. I talked about Lifetrons that Yogananda wrote about in his book, Biography of a Yogi. And Lifetrons, a good image of a Lifetron, it's not the actual reality of it, but is at the bottom of the videos on the YouTube music, you have that little white dot moving across the line with the seconds as time goes on. That is about exactly what a Lifetron looks like, only the Lifetron is alive. It's aware and very lively. And in the wink of an eye, you will be quickened. Very quickened, very alive, and filled with positivity and all the ingredients of the divine white living light. It's a compressed little ball of the divine white living light running through our circuitry. The nadis, chi, it's called prana, you know, but the nadis, they leave it, or the Lifetrons leave a trail of light behind them as they move. Okay, they leave that trail. So Don Juan, when he said he sees human beings as luminous fibers, that fiber of luminosity is the trail of the Lifetron. Okay, I think his sing showed that he knows. Well, he does see the Lifetrons too, but he just described it as that because when he fixed his gaze on Castaneda, his student, once, and he said Castaneda said he couldn't move. He was stuck, and his teacher, Don Juan, had his gaze on him in such a way that it paralyzed him from moving. Well, that's because it was telekinetics. He could stop the flow, the movement of one of those Lifetrons, and the circulation stops, so he can't move. Okay, and powerful, very powerful in angelic warfare, very, very powerful. That combination, being able to perceive the Lifetrons and have telekinetics, very, very deadly. But in a way, it's not the same. Angelic warfare is the same because that body you could zap him, but that body will dematerialize, but it will rematerialize too. That body rematerializes and materializes. So the humans, with this type of violence that they practice, it's not the way, the warrior's way of the ancients, like the Mujahideen of the Islamic people. Those warriors' ways were to be able to go into the warriors to, well, I didn't wimp out, but you know, it is scary. Again, it feels like that state of consciousness that produces, that consciousness. That's how I will speak with things, you know. That's in the voice of many waters. Go into that state of consciousness, formless being, the primordial. That's the key. I would like